All right, all right, all right. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the live press row hangout. It is Friday night, which means instead of being out in the club, we are in our own club here. Hey, everybody, I'm Rich Grisham. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Let's just go around the table and introduce our fine panel. Up first, we have from the great state of Washington, a man who's very happy about his Seahawks destruction last night of the Packers. From Pasta Padre, Mr. Brian Weedeye. Brian, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, it was a special night. It was a special night here, and Rich, you got to see the city recently, so that was exciting for me to have you here. And then, we've gone, I think 2 weeks since our last hangout, which might be a record after the last few months where we were rolling them out on every other day. It seemed like as something newsworthy broke. So it feels good to be back.
Well, it is the slow time of the year for sports games, so it makes sense, right? Yeah. Up next, we have a man who was just living the grind every single day from that sports gamer, Mr. TJ Lauerman. TJ, how are you, sir?
Rich, the worst part of the Seahawks winning is that I lost out on my Mutt coin up for the Packers winning and Eddie Lacy not getting 150 yards.
What does that mean? I don't know.
Then I have a card that I can quick sell for more coin if that happens. But good news, I drafted the Seahawks defense in my fantasy league, so that seems like that was a smart thing to do.
Sure. I'll go with yes for all of the above. Well, definitely the last thing. And that man you see to their right or their left, depending upon which way you're looking, is our good friend Ian Cummings, who's joining us tonight. Ian, how are you, sir?
I'm great. It's good to be back. It's also really weird to be working on an NFL game again.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Here I am,
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. The game is called NFL Showdown. We're going to get to that in just a minute. I do want to say, though, real quick before we get into it, we had such a tremendous response to the Madden 15 Review Roundtable show. Typically it's the most listened to show of the year, but this year in particular was just amazing. So I just want to thank everybody for doing that. And if you haven't listened to it, I strongly recommend it. But also today we went live on the Press Row podcast. We had an interview. The folks from NBA 2K5, or specifically Rob Jones, came on the show and talked about NBA 2K14, NBA 2K15 for an hour. And it's the first time Rob had been on the show. It's only the second time in over 2 years that we were able to get an NBA 2K guy to come on. I thought it was a really interesting interview. A lot of good stuff, a lot of information came out about NBA 2K15. We also talked about the VC stuff from NBA 2K14, which if I had not brought up, I would have been pummeled on the internet. I didn't want that to happen. So please go give that a listen. It's really good. I just appreciated Rob coming on and being forthright and honest. So just wanted to mention that. And all right, so let's get down to business. As we mentioned, this is what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about NFL Showdown, the new game from Ian Cummings' group over there at Zynga. We're going to talk about the golf club. We have not been able to speak on the show or any of our shows about the golf club. We're going to get into that for a little bit. And we're going to do a whole lot of Madden talk. We're going to talk about, we got a lot of questions and comments from folks that we're going to talk about, and then also set up our Press Row podcast Madden franchise, which is shaping up to be quite interesting. So that's where we're going. So let's start off with NFL Showdown. Ian Cummings, you're making an NFL game. This NFL game is actually on my phone as we speak.
Mine too.
Nice. Very good. So what is NFL Showdown, and why is it different from all the other kinds of football games out there on the App Store and the exchanges?
Well, it is very different for sure, and it's interesting coming on and kind of talking to you guys. I know I've obviously been in you guys' wheelhouse for over a decade, playing console sports games, and so it's hard to even know if this game will appeal to the console sports gamer. I see whenever news came out about NFL Showdown from Zynga, it's just couldn't be a worse reaction from the hardcore sports community. It would be exactly what I expected. But what I think for us was a really different step is that we don't have the kind of Madden backing. When you make a Madden game for mobile, you kind of typically have to bring along Madden gameplay. And so for us, it was like, okay, we didn't have very much time, number one. We thought, all right, what could we get with NFL license? What could we put out for the season that would last a long time and could be a little more, a little more focused on the long term, and then really kind of be authentic but still be approachable. I kept thinking about my father-in-law and my cousins, the guys that have given up on Madden. I'm not that guy. I can still play games with sticks, but there's just so many people, you guys all know them, that have just kind of, it's just passed them by for whatever reason. And so we just trying to think, well, what is that? What is the sort of core of the NFL? And I think what you see with Showdown, again, it's sort of early, but the long-term vision there is, basically a different spin on fantasy football. We all play fantasy. Lots of people play fantasy football, a lot more than probably play console games. And so this kind of building this competition around, playing real opponents, playing them every day, and playing through a real NFL season with real NFL teams, real NFL players. That was sort of where we ended up, and that's where we're starting. This is our kind of first launching pad. If you get it right now, you sign on as kind of a manager of a team, a new coach, general manager / there's you never know which one you are. You're the owner, you're the manager, all the above, and you're just sort of trying to improve your roster for a game that you play every single day that gets simulated. So that's sort of and then you can ask me questions. I'll probably be better at answering them rather than just blah.
I was going to say, Ian, you're at the new studio there. I believe it's called Zynga Sports 365. And you have a lot of EA Sports veterans there. Can you talk a little bit about the studio, the background of everyone there, and then what kind of philosophies and design ideas did you have that transfers from console to mobile, or is it just like completely a whole new deal? You just had to kind of scrap all those ideas and come up with something new.
So in terms of the team, it is a lot of EA Sports veterans, a very kind of seasoned leadership team. So the creative director of the game is Jeff Lure. Some people don't know him. Most people should. I mean, Jeff has been basically the kind of heartbeat of the football games at EA forever. He was the NCAA football, again, I say heartbeat. He was the guy that really ran that game from a just sort of okay game to the monster that it was. And then when the NCAA lawsuit stuff happened, I mean, Jeff was kind of out, that was his baby. And so Jeff joined. We have a lot of guys that worked on Tiger, that worked on Madden Superstars, that worked on Madden Mobile. So it's very much a seasoned team. And I think we all, again, I sort of briefly touched on that. We all sort of had that Madden, we were sort of stuck in that hole. We couldn't branch out too much because there's just so much connotation with the Madden name. And so when it came to building something new, we were able to just really, all right, well, what do we want to do? Like, we can do whatever we want. We could make anything we want with an NFL game. Where do we want to go? What do we think is the long-term kind of focus? So when it comes to what we learned from console, I mean, I think it does all come back to the fact that the NFL fan isn't like just some dummy. They are committed to their team. They love their players. The stats and all the data that we saw that everyone plays franchise mode. Everyone likes managing their team. They don't like, hitting 100-yard field goals. That was like, we don't need a flick football game. All these things were on the table. What are the different options? I mean, if you go into a room right now and you say, hey, we can make an NFL game, it doesn't matter what it is. It's really hard to narrow that because it can be anything. Last year there was an NFL runner that you dodged left and right, like Temple Run. So that that was on the table. Do we do something like that? But I think us kind of all knowing that where long-term fans stick is around that management thing. The coach management angle of building a dynasty, winning Super Bowls. That's where I think we settled on Showdown.
So, Ian, let's just talk about the game itself. When you load it up on your phone, what do you do, and then how do you progress, and how do you succeed?
It's really different and unique, and I hope the majority of the work that I actually did, I came on late. I've been working on the golf game, which we can't talk too much about, but I could talk more about that too. I came on just sort of a little bit late to really help the onboarding of the game, and the concept of this game, and that's why our studio is called 365, is that you play this game every day. We want you to interact with this game every day. There is no off season in this game. So when you pick up the game, you pick your team, you pick the Seahawks because, whatever. They're good, I guess.
They're champs, yeah.
They seem okay. And basically, at that moment, you join a league. It immediately puts you into a 32-person league with other users, 31 other users, real people. And you can, depending on whatever day of the week you join, you might actually be halfway through the season. But every 21 total days, a season goes all the way to completion. So basically, you join up. It's the first week. You have the real NFL schedule, and basically, you have a game that's going to get simulated every single day at, say, 8 o'clock at night. And so your game is actually just preparing for the simulation. So it's not about going in and running drills or like, with your sticks or anything like that. It's really about management. Okay, getting your best players, running practices with them, making sure their energy is up, making sure their confidence is up, make sure all their ratings are as maximum as they can get, as well as picking up any free agents that seem to be coming in on the waiver wire. There's a lot of auctioning and trading of players that can go on, and so you just want to make sure you get the best team at the very last second when the 8:30 or 8 o'clock p.m. game gets simulated. So that's sort of how it works, and if you make the playoffs, you get promoted to the next level, like up to the next tier of competition. So every 21 days, it's just going to keep kind of moving up. Obviously, you're just trying to win Super Bowls every year, and the competition gets higher and higher every single year.
Ian, I had always thought fantasy football tying it in with a sports game would make sense for mobile. I'd never really had an idea of how that would work. Now I know the description for the game, and you mentioned it earlier too. You mentioned fantasy football. What kind of tie is in there between that?
That's actually a really cool feature, and we're stoked that people, I guess, this week will finally get to see it. Is the players on your team also get boost based on their fantasy performance. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You're running your own little 21-day season, but at all times you want to make sure you're getting players that are going to succeed in real life as well. So it's not just about, okay, I'm going to take a bunch of scrubs and train them to be awesome, because you still want guys that are actually scoring 30 fantasy points out in real life, because that'll come back to your team as well. So that's how that works.
Okay.
So the next sort of obvious question when you talk about a game that's free to play, you're not in the world of charity, right? You're in, this is a business, right? So obviously you need to have a revenue model. What's the revenue model, and what's the approach taken to someone who wants to play versus someone who's like TJ and just throws money at every video game that he buys versus somebody who just wants to experience a game but doesn't want to feel like they're trying to get a paywall put up in front of them right away. How does that all work?
First off, Rich, I would like to let you know that I worked hard for the 9.0 Marcellus Bennett that I picked up in this game. I did not pay any money for that.
You picked him up in Showdown? Good. All right, that's good.
Yeah, I got him in
I got a 7.4 Russell Wilson. That was a pretty good score. But yeah, so the ratings they change based on what level you are as a in the current league that you're in. But so the way that you're gonna play if you don't want to pay is by just being there a lot, and that's what we want. We want you there every day because we want you interacting, because that makes the game better for everyone. I mean, it's not like we need you there. I think there's a lot of connotation with Zynga that we've tried to really change. We're trying to shift into this focus of, this is like the 21st century. This is what sports should be like. It's focusing on kind of the fan behavior. We just want you there every day working on your team. And so if you're there, you can kick off like a practice session, weightlifting, and come back 30 minutes later and pick up all the training points and then go assign it to all your players. And if you just keep kind of doing stuff like that, coming back often and assigning points, increasing your players' attributes, they're going to get better quickly. If you want to pay, like TJ, there's an auction house that is actually, again, hopefully balanced enough. You don't actually have to pay. We give you currency quite often, the premium currency. If you're checking in every day, you're going to earn currency. If you're winning a lot, you're going to earn currency, and you spend those on an auction house. So the way the auction house works is similar to a BZID or a Quibids type of auction, not necessarily eBay, where it's just, if you're the last one standing, the rounds are like every 15 seconds, then you're going to get the guy. So you can get top-rated players for one bid. You know, that's sort of the beauty of it, we think. Or sometimes you can grind it out with another person for quite a while if you feel like I really need this player. So it's similar to auction-style bidding in fantasy football as well.
Yeah, I think I went like 11 bids deep with a guy yesterday.
Don't you hate the other guy when you get into one of those?
It's like I'm at lunch.
It's
I'm
such a
going
weird
back
thing.
5 minutes late because I've been sitting here bidding against this guy the whole time.
Yeah.
So, you know, in console gaming, licensing is crucial. Now, we're going to talk about one game later that went unlicensed recently, but for the major sports, you need the licensing now because of development costs, the returns, and the branding. How do you view that on mobile? Because there are a lot of unlicensed sports games on mobile too, but I know Zynga went and got the NFL license, NFLPA license, and then for your golf game, Tiger Woods. I mean, is that how crucial is that to you know the potential success of the games and the way you're designing them, I suppose?
We feel it's very critical. It doesn't mean that every game that we make has to be licensed, but when it came to football and the NFL, obviously it's going to be real hard to make something work without that. And I think everyone has struggled in the mobile space, and you guys see, of getting found. That's the number one problem for every developer is app discovery. It is just a sea of crap in there, as well as good stuff. But I mean, whatever the stats are, 20,000 apps go live, you know, every day or every month or so. It's insane, you know. It's impossible to get found. So that was a big thing. You know, we're thinking about, okay, we're going to invest in this. We want to be committed for the long term. How are we going to win right out of the gate instead of taking 3 years to try and grow there? And so it felt like a license, number one, gets you the authenticity that we all wanted. We didn't want to have a game with a football game or a golf game with generic people. Just as fans, you know, we want to make, if we're a sports studio, we want to make the game for the ultimate fan. And two, it really helps with discovery. Like to have a partner like the NFL or like Tiger Woods that immediately has you, you know, you're a real deal. You're no longer just some lost in the sea. They can advertise for you. They can help you with press. And they just give you so much more authenticity. I mean, when people see 2 football games in the store and one has an NFL Shield and an NFLPA in it, that's the one they're going to probably go with, you know, as long as the game's good.
I know you can't say much about the golf game, but is it going to be similar to this, where you kind of build up a little team and play something, or it's going to be like play golf? It's
going to be awesome. It is awesome. It is very, and I'm not joking, it is awesome. It is a really, really good golf game.
Very, very good golf game. Release next year?
I don't know. Great question.
yeah. The original release, I think, said 2015, but
yeah. It's hard to say. Everything's been so crazy with getting NFL out that I think we're just trying to figure out where does the mobile stuff's tough too, because if you're not out by, I think Apple freezes their store at like the 10th of December or 15th or something, so that if you're not in there, then you have to basically wait a month, kind of a deal, because they won't let anyone new. So I really don't know. Hopefully we'll find out soon. I'm sure there'll be more news about that soon once NFL sort of cools down a little bit, isn't so hectic.
So last specific question for you related to this, Ian. You were obviously at the Tiburon Studios for years in Orlando. Then you picked up and you moved across the country to Zynga, California, and then you came back, and now you're basically in spitting distance from Tiburon. Do you just go back to those offices and kind of wander around and be like, hey, where's my desk? Can I just sit here for a little while? I mean, are you interacting with those guys at all, or are you just buried in deep in what you're doing and no time for lunch or anything like that?
So there's a big gym right in between our 2 studios. So it's called RDV Sportsplex, and it's basically a huge, workout complex. And it is basically the block in between our 2 studios. Like, I really wouldn't have picked being that close to EA, but that's what happened. That's where we are. And so we all work out, or go to the gym or try to. I mean, I really should. And every day I run into all these old EA guys, and sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes they give me a real stink eye, and then, but a lot of the other guys I know, they're still really cool. And like the other day, I ran into Mike Scantlebury. I don't know if you guys have ever talked with him.
Sure.
He's a gameplay designer, right? And he's a big fan of mine. I'm a big fan of his, like, real good guy. And he's just like, oh, man, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so sick of hearing all the bad stuff about you every day in the halls. And I just kind of sat there like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, what do you mean? Who's saying that? You know? And he's just like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know. But so yeah, then for like a week I sat depressed, thinking, well, people are trash talking me at Tiburon, but I don't have anything. You know, obviously I've said every bad thing I could already about, and good thing. So we run into each other. It is now a competition for sure. You know, I want to win at everything I do. So we are in the same category together, and you know, I'm not gonna knock them down because we're all NFL partners. But I also want to win. I want to win big. I want to be at the top of the charts, and that means somebody else has to be number 2.
Well, all right, good stuff, Ian. Congratulations on the launch. I've
Thanks.
loaded it up and I'm checking it out, and I'm going through the checklist, and I just got tossed into week 11. I'm playing the Cowboys in like 3 hours, so you know, let's do this thing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right, good stuff. So, moving on from NFL Showdown, I want to talk about the golf club, and not the golf game that Ian is making, but the golf club. It's a game that we had Peter Garson, the executive producer, come on Press Row podcast a couple of times over the course of the year once the game was announced, and then as it got closer to launch to talk about it. And I bought it pretty much right after I got back from Seattle, and I've been playing it almost every day since, and when I'm not playing it, I'm kind of thinking about it, and I want to play it. I really have thoroughly enjoyed my experience with the golf club. We're going to break that down a little bit, but before we do any of the particulars, Brian, you have it. TJ, you have it. Ian, do you have it yet? Have I convinced you to get it?
It's downloading. I mean, I've been on top of it, believe me, because it is, again, another competitor.
Sure.
And I just watched a video the other day with, like, the weird guy just talking to you while you're shooting. Like, what in the hell? I was like, I'm not buying this. I'm not buying it. And the swing itself, the swing looks like just like a Chuck E. Cheese robot, man. And I was so stoked to see it at first because the course creator, all the videos up front, the graphics look killer. But then it's like I see this, you know, basically a video of it running on PS4, and I was really like, no way, I'm buying it. But I just bought it tonight. So
nice. There you go.
I'm gonna wait and give judgment. I mean, that commentary, that's not that big of a deal. I know. Tell me about that. Is that really how it works?
Yeah. Well, basically, you got your buddy walking around the course with you. It's not commentary. It's not supposed to be a television presentation. It's basically just, you know, your buddy, a caddy, who's giving you a little bit of information and reacting. It's
and
extremely
he's Canadian.
different.
He's
Very
Canadian.
Oh,
that's a nice shot there.
Yeah. Or at one point, whenever, on the rare occasion when I do hit a really nice shot right on the green near the pin, he'll say "beauty," and I love that.
He's very sarcastic. But I did read that in a upcoming patch, I don't know if they're adding to it or changing it around or something, but something to do with the commentary is going to be changing in a patch. So
it's just a weird thing. I mean, without playing it, it's hard to say, but watching the video, I just thought, wow, that is such a strange. It feels like you've got a friend in your ear. With sort of bad commentary. Bad observations, you know.
Oddly enough, I kind of like it.
Really.
And I don't, you know, I wouldn't have thought that, but it does get repetitive, especially when you keep making mistakes and he just continues to be sarcastic about it, like you know, maybe next time. Yeah.
I hate when he does that. So TJ, you've been playing it too. Give me a your high level thoughts on the golf club.
I really like it so far. I've been having a lot of fun playing. Right up until the time there's a cat on top of you.
Yep, there's a cat on top of me.
Yeah, it's really fun. Right up until the time it crashes my PS4. That's kind of how it's been every time I've played.
Well, one of the things, because I've had it crash a couple times. One of the nice things about it is when it does crash and you go back in, you're right back where you were. So that has definitely helped me get over that. So
yeah, but the problem was it crashed, and then I was like, I could go play some Ultimate Team right now. And
well, yeah, there's
my house. I'll get back to this later, and then I forgot to do it.
So here's why I love the golf club. It's not about the graphics, because the graphics are perfectly ordinary, right? There's certain courses that do look great, like particularly the courses where there's the beautiful mountain range in the back, and there's the beautiful trees and woods and rivers, like the ones that were professionally designed by the guys who made the game, the official courses. Some of them are really beautiful, but not beautiful like next gen, whoa, beautiful. Just like, oh, this is nice. So it's not about the graphics. It's not about. It's certainly not about your buddy walking around next to you laughing at your terrible shot.
Nice shot, dearie.
I love a couple things about it. Number one, I love how social it is, and normally that is a word that I run from. But in the case of the golf club, it works perfectly. Like the other night, I started a tour. And as soon as I started the tour, I went and did something for like 15 minutes, and I'd come back and I went to the first hole, and I was automatically playing with the ghosts of 3 of my friends who had already played that on the tour. And they all tee off, and then I tee off. And then when I take my second shot, they take their second shot. And they're sort of following me around the course asynchronously. And then other times I'll start to play, and then like I'll see, oh, that sports gamer just started this course, and then I'll hop in. The next thing I know, I'm playing live right next to TJ, and we're sort of battling, even though we're not talking, we're clearly battling each other.
There was
live.
some Twitter trash talking there, but yeah.
Well, that's true. There was. Yeah, you in fact said, I think Rich should be working, but instead he's playing golf, all of which was 100% true. So I really, really like that aspect, and that's not something that I typically am big on in games for whatever reason with the golf club, because it's golf, it really just works. And the other thing that I like are the mechanics. There are no assists, right? You know what kind of club you have, you know the yardage that you'll hit it. If you go at 100%, you'll know you have an idea, obviously, how far the distance is. You know the wind, you know the elevation or not. I really like it. Putting is difficult, but the more that I do it, the more that I get what they're going for. The game wants you to work at it to get good. I mean, these are all things that I'm really, really enjoying about the golf club. Brian, are you having a similar experience, or are there other things you either like or dislike about it?
It's an interesting game to try and just describe to someone. If somebody says, should I get this game? This is one of the most difficult ones, I would think, in terms of recommending it or not, because it's a very bland game, but it's like serene. I'm relaxed playing it. I mentioned that, and we were talking about it in the email threads, and like you, I kind of want to just pull it up, play for 20 minutes, play around or whatever. And I have fun with it, except for, of course, the number of putts that miss just by like a quarter of an inch.
So close.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it drives me nuts because I don't miss by much. It's just so close. Yeah. And it's there's no like practice mode necessarily. There's a way to practice, but I'm kind of just learning as I go. And we're doing a tour, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool.
Except that I know everybody sees my, plus 13 on the first round.
Hey, I was plus 8, right? I mean, that's another thing. Like, there are a lot of us that are playing it, and we don't get very good scores, and that's okay. Like,
what's the end game with that? Are you getting better just with the sticks, or do you upgrade your guy?
Nope, there is no upgrading. Everyone is completely on a level playing field. It's a pure skill-based game, and there's no microtransactions.
You all hit 300 yards right out of the gate, kind of a deal.
Yeah, it's like 275 or so.
Okay, yeah. They're all just a good golfer, and so what are all the different modes?
Well, you can just hop on and play any course, and there are lots and lots of courses, and you can search for them by rating. They sort of curate them. There's the official ones. There are ones that are built by people. You can set up tours and tournaments or join tours and tournaments, and I'm really having fun with that because just like we've seen in our MLB, the show online league, even though it's only 3 or 4 of us, just whenever I'm playing in something that has some sort of persistence to it, like a tour or a tournament, I feel like everything is a little more important than if I'm just out there playing 18 holes. The end game is very similar to the real world of golf. What is your end game in golf? You want to try to get better. and you want to have fun with your friends out on the course. And to me, that seems to be the whole vibe of the golf club, and I really think that's why I'm enjoying it. And I wasn't expecting to enjoy it nearly as much as I am. TJ, what have some of your particularly highlight or low light experiences been out on the course?
I think it's more lowlights than highlights so far. But like Brian says, I think I blasted one from about 3 feet from the hole that ended about 20 feet from the hole.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish they would do something with the putt so you see like how far you're going back, some sort of like a power meter or how far the ball is actually going to go. Yeah, stuff like that. I put a couple chip shots close. Nothing in yet. I feel like I'm getting better. It does feel a lot like, kind of like real golf, where it's not really that loud. Some guys chirping over in your ear that you don't really want to hear, and it's fun.
How good does it feel when you are lined up for a putt, and your buddy lines up for a putt, and you see that ball just go right over the hole, and then hop over and then keep on rolling? Is that the greatest feeling?
I saw Richie Devil have one that popped right over the hole, and I was like, I can take a breather on this putt now.
The thing about it is the game really gives you everything that you need to succeed, and you just have to learn how to do it. Like putting in particular is very difficult. Like you get one putter, right? You don't get to choose from 3 different putters that have 3 different lengths, right? You get one putter, which is actually not video game golf-like, but it certainly is real golf-like. And it feels to me that the angle of the greens are more pronounced. Like, so if you see it going a little to the left, if you just move it a little to the right, that's not far enough. You got to move it a little more. Like, it's just, you have to constantly sort of figure out and learn how to be successful. I tell you, one of the other things that I've been surprised about, there are some really, really impressive courses that are out there that people have put together already. Like, I played one course just randomly, and there was some like crazy elevation. Like I was on top of a hill, and like 200 feet down was the hole, and it was a par 3, and there's like an 8-mile-an-hour wind out of the northwest, and I really had to line it up right, and I did. And boy, again, just like in real golf, when you get that really nice shot, it feels good. And Brian Wiedau, you had one of those, didn't you?
Yeah, my very first round playing the game. I mean, this is when I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm actually learning that when I move the stick down and up, I tend to hook. So I'm starting to compensate for that or whatever. It's a par 4, but it's reachable. It's recommending it's not recommending I go for the hole, but I go for it anyway. And I get a hole in one, just out of nowhere. I don't think in a golf game, arcadey type golf game, sure, but in a sim golf game, I don't think I've ever had a hole in one. So the funny thing is, we were talking about the commentary earlier, is I uploaded to YouTube, and then I get a couple comments like, man, you just hit a hole in one. You got to be more excited than that. And they thought it was like me commentating over the video. And I'm like, no, that wasn't
my Canadian caddy.
No, he was like, all he said was like, holy crap. And they're like, why aren't you enthused about this? I'm like, that wasn't me. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty exciting. And then I finished like +6 or something. But and that was a par 4. I mean, it was a pretty cool moment. Yeah, I know, crazy, right?
You take the driver and you have the wind or something?
Yeah,
Is that how you did that?
I don't even remember the specifics. I'd have to pull it up again. But I mean, it was telling me to like hit it left onto the fairway. I was like, no, I'm going for it. And somehow I got there. So that was pretty cool.
There's a lot of little things that sort of drive me crazy. I don't understand some of the initial sort of default recommended direction to go or club to use, but it's something you can do. I tweeted a picture yesterday. I was on the 17th hole, and I just got buried really deep in the woods, and it was so bad I had to just to tweet it out. It was one of those days. So, but it's really, I mean, I just tell you, I wish I could be playing this game more than I have been able to. It is really, really interesting, and it's really fun. And the other thing that I like about it is I have a feeling I will be playing this game for a while. Right, this is not something where I'm going to go heavy on it for the couple 2 or 3 weeks and then put it down. It's digital, so it's always easy to just pop on and play. There is going to be regular updated content coming. They're going to add layers to the foundation of the game, right? I mean, Brian, you already mentioned. It sounds like they're doing some more with your Canadian caddy friend. I'm excited. I'm enjoying the experience now, mostly because of playing with my friends and the tours and the tournaments. I'm excited to see where this game goes. I'm very happy with my $35. Again, I'm never one to say you should go spend your money on it, but I'm certainly very happy with the money that I've spent on it. And Ian, you got to make sure you get on all of our friends lists so that we can all be out there playing some golf together.
I'll play it for sure. I mean, I'm hoping to kind of have it at work and be able to, check it out and see. I've definitely seen. There's a lot of great stuff they still do, but like I said, there was just that one video had me so scared.
Well, it's not a game that it's not a game.
It's up there for kind of a non-licensed, no nothing, no just basically a kind of a play now type of game, but.
It's risky, and it's not a game that if you were watching somebody stream it, you would just run out there and get it. It's the kind of game that the more you play it, the more that you really like it. And to me, it's one of those slow burns that for me has been sort of the theme of all of these next-gen sports games so far. MLB The Show, Madden 25 last year. Slow burns, games that have just gotten better in a more subtle way the more that I played them, as opposed to something that's just jumped at me and said, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" So, All right. So moving from the golf club to Madden. Wow, a whole lot going on in the world of Madden. We're going to do a couple things. Number one, we're going to talk about our Press Row online franchise, of which everybody on the show tonight is in. We have 20. Which is a lot more than we were supposed to. I apologize to everybody else who's been trying to get in. We are beyond maximum capacity. We got a nice waiting list, and I appreciate all the enthusiasm around it. There's going to be a whole. We're gonna experience this all together. We're going to stream a lot of the games. TJ is setting up a command central for the Press Row. All the games being streamed with so many human players. There's going to be a lot of human versus human matchups. It's going to be really exciting. But before we get into the details of that, let's just talk Madden 15 at a high level. Ian, we haven't heard from you at all. Give us your high level sort of thoughts initially once you popped in Madden 15. What'd you think?
Oh man, Mike Young is a genius. I mean, the opening sequence of Madden 15 is top notch. I mean,
I'm so surprised to hear you say that after the horrible, disparaging things he said about you on the Press Row.
What?
A couple of weeks ago.
I heard that, and he actually wasn't too bad.
I'm kidding.
No, it is. Mike is the man. Like, it's some of the stuff in there people just take for granted. Like I saw, like guys like Garnett. Oh, I can't skip this thing. It sucks that sort of happens because it's so tough. I don't know how long that took to build. Probably a long time, but it was such a cool experience and such a great sort of vision for the future too. If like the games felt like that. In franchise or maybe Superstar or whatever, single player kind of thing. But anyway, it was awesome, and I was so stoked to play. I get in, I played my first game as the Giants, and Eli threw like 7 picks,
Yeah.
And Donnie, Donnie made fun of me, It's like, sounds like you. So then I go in practice mode. I'm like, all right, I mean, how much has this game has changed? And sure enough, it's just really they made quarterbacks suck if they're not good. I mean. So I wasn't way out of my element. I went in with Peyton just to see, and I was like, okay, I still remember how to play Madden. Just playing tonight, I played through my preseason game in our league or whatever, and it's just there's a lot of great stuff. There's a lot of really great stuff. I'm impressed with a lot of the things they've done. There's some things again, just like I said last year, that I wish they would fix, that I'm like dying to see fixed. It's been a long time, and that's always sort of the problem. There's a couple things hang around that really drive me crazy. There's different ones that drive you crazy. There's different ones that it's just like such a big game, but it's still like it plays a pretty damn good game of football this year. I thought, just right out of the gate, it played pretty solid for me.
And I remember the first time I had you on, I asked you this question, and you're another year removed. I mean, when you put the game in now, are you able to just have fun, or do you immediately go back into the mode of, oh wait, got to find the bugs, this doesn't work, this doesn't work? Like, how does Ian Cummings actually experience Madden when you play it?
No, I don't. I wish I could. I mean, I did for a little bit tonight. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to play this. And I did have a good time. I stopped caring about the things that annoy me, just for a drive or two. Just say, oh, I'm just going to run this ball down here and see what happens. But, yeah, I mean, I streamed my game, and no one was on there except for this one guy, Chad, who I know way back from Operation Sports. And he was watching me. I was in replay for like 3 minutes at a time. Like, what just happened? Like lots of these little, and it's just little things, but it's because they've been there so long for me, and the fact that they get talked about like they were fixed. That's the harder part too. Like, things that have been mentioned specifically in interviews as being addressed, and then they still happen and drive you crazy. That's when I'm like, ugh, my blood boils. But I think this league's going to be awesome. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to not be picking out tons of little details. I mean, it's the same 5 things that I complain about all the time. It's not a big deal. They're, again, things like the stuff that I see from like what Mike has done is industry leading, and so you have to respect, all right, well, they did make a lot of great strides there. I'm just going to have to go with it and not be so, worked up about it.
TJ, how is your mutt grind going? How's your team, the Owen Greats, doing? What's your what's happening on your side?
Okay, the grind is in full swing. I think we got like 86 solos completed.
Wow.
My team's 83 overall. We got rookie Troy Aikman at the helm of the team.
Oh my goodness.
I'm rocking these Buccaneers XFL style jerseys. Kind of loving that. But yeah, it's still a grind. Just that's how Ultimate Team is. They're putting out new content like every day, every other day it seems. So there's already I think like 8 weekly things that just went up this week. There's already been 4 new guys, 2 new legends. There's gonna be a new legend tomorrow. It's big. It just keeps getting bigger.
And you have been accused of sucking more people into your vortex. Who have you brought along with you into the Ultimate Team world so far in Madden 15?
I feel like half of the press row CFM has been waiting for the CFM to start. They're like, let me just check out Ultimate Team. And then 2 tweets later, it's like, God damn it, and I'm like, well, I mean, that's what happens. Don't put your credit card near your PlayStation.
Good point. Brian, have you been playing a lot of Madden? Have you been doing other things? Like, what's your post sort of initial review and getting all of your thoughts out there? Where have you been with Madden lately?
A decent amount. Of course, we'll talk about our franchise more later. But on the Jaguars, so I wanted to get a feel for them, get an idea of what I wanted to do with the team. So I set up a test franchise, which has myself and a few other people in it. Just to play through a few games, look at different possible transactions and stuff. So that's basically what I've been doing since. And I tried to do some Ultimate Team, and it's just overwhelming. It's they simplified it to an extent this year, but it's still like when you start, it's so heavy. It just feels like so much that it's hard for me to get hooked on it at this point. It's I look and I'm like, okay, I got these guys. They're not very good, whatever. I know the first challenges are easy, but still, it's like you got to use a contract here. Like, so should I bench my best players so that I don't waste a contract on them? It's just a little. It's just too much for me. I loved NCAA's Ultimate Team. That's the one that really resonated with me, which was a shock because I thought it was. I wasn't sure it would work conceptually in a college game, but. Yeah, so I'm just preparing. I got to get those Jaguars. I got to rebuild them, and I got to win a Super Bowl somehow, or at least perform respectfully.
And I played through a full season with the Eagles. I'm going to be the Eagles in our Madden league again, and I finished 12-4. But in the third quarter of the 16th game of the regular season, Nick Foles got injured, and behind Nick Foles are the dynamic duo of Matt Barkley and Mark Sanchez. So when I say Foles got injured, I mean he got injured. He tore his groin, so he was out for the rest of the playoffs. And so I went into my first wild card, or the first playoff game, which was a home wild card game against the 49ers, and they waxed me 35-0.
Oh,
It's a good team.
They are in Madden 15. They are good, and we play on All Pro, and yeah, it was ugly. So I actually, because I've been doing a review for NHL and was able to spend some time playing the golf club, and hey, I'm still playing our MLB The Show online franchise every day. So I've actually taken
Your fourth iteration or whatever it is of restarting it because of something being broken.
7-0. My Dodgers are 7-0. So I'm ready. I'm excited. Oh, I'm so excited for the league. Before we get into some specific league talk, we got some questions that came to us from out there. So I'm just going to throw a few of these out of there. First one comes from Lucas, who says, when you import rosters in CFM, the player ratings change up and down about 5 rating on some players. Why is that? You know, we did start the online league tonight, and I went just kind of quickly perused through my roster, and I kind of was thinking the same thing. Like, all of the Eagles receivers, other than Jeremy Maclin, are like 78, 75 and below. Even like Riley Cooper, who I would think would be higher than that. And like the Eagles cornerbacks are very low rated, and these are some pretty good guys. So I was looking at that, thinking the same thing. So this is a great tweet. I mean, Brian, have you noticed that? Is that something?
Right? Isn't that the system deal?
Yeah. So that's when they rolled out Connected Careers. That was kind of the idea that ratings would fluctuate based on how a player fits into a system. So if you pulled a free agent and he was more like a power run blocker, and you put him to a passing onto a Peyton Manning type offense, that he wouldn't be as valuable for that team. Now, I don't know if it's just I'll have to look. I don't know if it's just the overalls that change. I don't think their actual ratings change. It's just the overall, right? So I wouldn't worry about it, but I see why this confuses people or catches them off guard, because you go in, and I went in and I looked at I was looking at the Seahawks roster in our franchise, and like the offensive line is, except for Okung, is like 71 or under.
Yeah, same thing with my offensive line, and the Eagles' offensive line is supposedly really good, they were like low 80s and high 70s. I'm like, what?
So this is the idea, and they explained it like in a blog a couple of years ago, but I think it still catches people off guard because they go in and the ratings are so different, and you would think these are players that are already on the team. They're probably there for a reason. They probably fit that system. So why are they changing? Maybe it should just apply to free agents or draft picks or something. I don't know, but I can see why it confuses people when they start it up.
All right, this one I'm going to toss to you first, Ian. This says it'd be too easy to go to TJ, right? So this one comes from Sean Lewandowski. He says, with seemingly all the focus being placed on the pay-to-play Ultimate Team mode, how long before regular players stop buying?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I mean, Madden's not doing that yet, right? Where they're just kind of abandoning ship to go to Ultimate Team. It's a scary thing, though. I mean, I said this 3 or 4 years ago. It's like the CD industry, when CD sales started lagging, they just started charging more, and then it's like to go get some crappy Goo Goo Dolls CD, it's $23, and then everyone's like, I'm just going to steal it because forget it, that's just not worth it. And so Ultimate Team kind of gets there. It's like, well, you're losing audience maybe, so let's try and get more than 60. So it's sort of a scary thing. It turns people off. There's other people that are like TJ that love it and are sinking in huge amounts of money. I don't know if TJ is or not, but
I mean, I wouldn't say that out loud.
Yeah, but people are, and so it's hard. I would imagine. I haven't. So Ultimate Team just started taking off right around the time when I left. It's got to be a real hard thing when you go into a meeting and say, well, we need to improve, this part of career mode, and they say, well, what's the return on that investment? If we add this feature over to Mutt, it's going to add $1 million back onto our bottom line. Pretty tough to argue with that, But hopefully that's not the case. People have to realize short-term gains does not mean long-term success. And I think Zynga has seen that, and many companies have seen that, of like, all right, going for the short-term optimization, make as much money as you can this year, and to hell with your consumer for next year is not the right strategy to have. And so I would think that Madden's not going to abandon all the bread and butter. The NHL stuff kind of scared me, but I don't think they're abandoning it. I think they're just missing it.
Yeah, I also, don't get the sense, at least at the, producer and creative director level, that is the case. I do get the sense, though, right? I mean, when you are responsible for the entire P&L of an organization, and like you said, Ian, like sales are stagnating or going down, and you're making the same. I mean, the licensing costs to with the NFL and the NFLPA don't go down commensurately with your sales. Like, you have to figure these things out, and Ultimate Team is wildly popular. I think most people are totally fine with Ultimate Team existing and being a thing, as long as it doesn't kill off the other ways that they like to play the game, which is, like you say, the NHL situation is so scary. So, TJ, question for you. This one comes from Cameron. He says, do you think that they will incorporate more footage similar to the quarterback intros in future editions of the game? What do you think about that, TJ?
I'd hope so. I like that stuff, even though normally I feel like I'm a guy that kind of skips that thing, but I found myself sitting there watching it, usually because they don't let you skip most of it. But yeah, I like those little videos. They should do more of that. I used to like even the little player spotlights they used to do before the games in NCAA and in Madden, where you'd see the same animation of the guy taking a handoff, and he's ran 1,500 yards this year. So, yeah, give me some more video in there.
One of the things that I often wonder about, Ian, is, when you were making Madden, you were getting all of these different people telling you all of these different things. They want more of this, they want less of that. And you've got your own ideas as things that you want to do. And then, your boss has ideas as to things that he wants to do. I mean, how did you try to process it and figure out what to do and how to balance it? Do I go more heavy on the presentation? Do I say, forget that, go heavy on the gameplay? Like, how difficult is that to deal with when you have all these different pressures coming from all those different directions?
I mean, it sucks, but it's also, part of the job and the fun part. In terms of making the decision, a lot of the times it's just so much based on the budget you've been given for the team size, And there's so many ways that you look to try and be creative and stretch that dollar. You're going to maybe move some stuff to an outsourcer, or you're going to do this, or, like I saw NHL this year had video, like you said, kind of as their pregame. Well, you can license video, so that's much cheaper than having to build 3D assets. So there's like all these little trade-offs that you do to kind of take little chunks out. But at the end of the day, if you've got a core team of, say, 50 people, there's only certain things that they can do. If there's 30 engineers, you're totally hamstrung by the 30 engineers. If you've got 10 artists, you're hamstrung by the 10 artists. You can't go create a billion assets because you've got 10 artists. So it's just sort of like you have to end up working backwards from the team and what they're good at too. Like if you have 3 rendering engineers, you're not going to go put them on gameplay code or writing AI or whatever. So it's like you're stuck with the team. You have a lot of say in the team, but it's still at some level you've got, to start with your team and what their excellence is, what their category is that they're good at, and try and kind of work backwards from there. And it never fits, and every sports game developer knows it's just the worst process, starting with your feature list that you're like, this is what we're going to do this year. And like 3 months later, you're like, oh crap, none of that fits. Okay, now what are we going to do this year? It's like it's always very, very brutal. And actually, that's why I like the mobile space quite a bit better, because there isn't that cut point. You don't have to be in the box. It's just sort of like, all right, we're going to get out by next Monday, and then what do you guys want to do next week, and put it out. So I like that feel, because it was so painful doing that for years.
And so that leads great to this next question, also from Cameron, who says, hey, Brian Weedeye, why do you think they took away the game face feature?
It would probably be prioritization, and I suspect not that many people used it. That would just be my guess. But I like game face for creating your guy. I think that added something to it. Everywhere, for every game now, NBA 2K, you see it. You see people asking, why can't I use my Kinect or my PlayStation camera to create my guy? Because you want it to be your guy, and not just like I was creating my coach in Madden for our league, and there's like 6 generic options basically, and I'm like, this isn't cool. I wanted to do something either really bizarre or something, just so whenever I played like TJ, he'd see my coach on the sideline, and he'd be like, what is up over there? Or in the news feed that somebody would see, and they'd be like, that's an odd looking coach, you know. And I used to do that in the I used Game Face and took like celebrity face. Maybe this is why they got rid of it. Maybe it's the celebrity stuff actually.
You ruined it. Thanks, Brian. There's the truth.
It was probably. It was probably. But if you go back, that's why they said they didn't have Game Face in UFC, because of all the the Floyd Mayweathers and stuff people created for Fight Night, and like Harry Potter and everything you can imagine, that were shared like hundreds of thousands of times and downloaded. So it's either, I think it would come down to not that many people used it, or a licensing copyright type issue.
So you're saying I shouldn't have used Ryan Leaf's mugshots to make a guy last year? Was I part of the problem?
Yes, you also are to blame.
Damn it.
You know, what's funny is I use Game Face in multiple games. I used it in Tiger Woods, and I used it in I think Madden a couple of years ago, and it never even worked. Like, number one, it's like, okay, you line your face up, and then it's like, okay, processing, and then it was like 30 minutes. I'm like, what? What? I mean, that's insane. And then when it was done, it looked like my face had a mirror on it. Like, it just looked completely bizarre. So, I mean, Ian, do you think that's also some of just the technical hurdles with it went into sort of, let's remove the game phase problems from our plate? You think that had something to do with it, Ian?
Yeah, I never got it into any of the Maddens I worked on. We talked about it each year, but we never. It was just a huge technical problem. I mean, you have all these pipelines and processes to create players' heads. And then now you got to figure out one that makes one out of someone's picture. It's just sort of a very different, and that pipeline is someone else's tech that was developed somewhere else. And I loved it. And when the first Tiger came out, I was like gung ho. And then FIFA, I did it every year. It never looked like me, but I did it every year. But I think also nowadays too, like the resolution of player heads is insane. I don't even know if. Did any game make the transition and still have it? Does any game still have it?
I don't think any of them. I think it's gone from all of them now.
Yeah, which is amazing considering the Kinect.
Well, think about that though.
The Kinect might still have it.
The Kinect resolution is terrible. Like right?
Yeah.
So like thinking about if you go zoom in tight on a guy's face right now, like Eli's or someone, it's highest possible fidelity. They use that camera rig that they show. And so now you got to take a picture with your phone or your Kinect. It's going to be low res and grainy, and generating a mesh out of that has to, fit as many polys, as much textures, and maybe they're doing specular maps and all these other like crazy textures. It's just probably like forget it. It's too much work. Maybe we'll do it later. That's what I would assume.
All right. So now let's get to what we have all been waiting for, the Press Row Podcast Madden 15 League official preview.
Does anyone care about our league other than us?
They do.
They do.
They do. One of my favorite shows to do, and got one of the biggest responses was when we recapped our first season, or in our second season, I think. It was kind of a fun thing, yeah.
That's like when people tell me about their fantasy team, I'm just like, sure. I just totally zone the hell out,
Well, there was a day when people said, why would anyone want to watch someone else play a game streaming, Yeah. And now it's huge. Who knows?
It is a button reserved on your controller, yeah. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. No, I've been delighted, fascinated, and blown away by how many people watch the live Press Row League games, and it's not like we even had a central hub or place to do it. And the games, one of the reasons I think it became so popular to watch is because so many of the games, human versus human, were spectacular. Like, it would come down to the bitter end. I mean, my goodness, Brian and Gus Ramsey from ESPN had one of the greatest games ever played. Brian and TJ had ridiculous games against each other, a bit of rivalry, which just somehow managed to manifest itself again in this year's upcoming. Just tons and tons of great games. So, all right, let's go around the table and talk about what your team is and what your outlook is. And let's start with you, TJ Latterman. Who are you, and what is your plan?
I am the Colts. My plan is to beat Brian for the first 4 games in the next that we play, and then lose everyone after that. I would like to make the playoffs and win rather than making the playoffs and losing like I did all last year. Yeah, looking at Andrew Luck being a superstar this year and T.Y. Hilton, so I can be like all day long.
So we are starting with the rosters as of today. So basically, that's where we're launching, and then from today on, everything will become our own universe. So, TJ, who are the best players on your team, and what's your offensive philosophy? What do you do? Are you a long bomber? Are you grinding and pounding up the middle? Like, what's your philosophy?
This season, I think I'm going to mix it up a lot because we got Trent Richardson in the backfield. Hopefully, he didn't play that good in real life last year, so hopefully he's going to be good. Yes, I'm going to get a little Roll Tide thing.
You see that picture right there?
Mm-hmm.
That's me talking to Trent Richardson.
He's very good. I was very excited.
Oh my God, are you serious, Rich? That's amazing. Tell me more. What was he like?
Well, hey, look. Not all of us get to work on NFL Madden games and meet like every single player. Okay, to some of it's a big deal to meet an NFL player.
Oh, he's a Bama guy. I can't take it.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're gonna mix it up with him. I did get one of those hot tips from S. Gibbs to put LaRon Landry in the nickel and blitz him all the time because he's got that super high hit power, blow up guys. So Brian better watch out.
Well, thanks for telling me.
I'm gonna start injuring quarterbacks. You're just gonna get hit a lot. It's gonna be bad. And
Well, I'm the Jaguars, so I mean.
yeah, they have no offensive line, right? So I'm gonna run right through them.
No, there is no offensive line. My starting center is a rookie, and I think he's like 64 or something.
Nice. I just signed a free agent that's a 66, so we're good.
Okay, now we can't hear Rich at all, which I think is an upgrade, actually. So I will talk about my Jaguars in the meantime, because I know that's what everyone wants to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
I took the Jaguars because, number one, I won a Super Bowl last year, so I can do whatever I want now. It's like house money, you know? And so I'm like, okay, I want to take someone different, someone, you know, a little more challenging. I don't want to just take the best team in the game. So I went, you know, so many former Seahawks on the Jaguars, including the coach who, you know, gets fired because I take over as coach. So it's kind of sad, but so I went with the Jaguars. I'm like, okay, I'm going to rebuild them. I've got a plan to rebuild them. I got $40 million in cap space already. Once I get rid of a couple guys, I'm going to have 50 plus going into next season. So I'm gonna kill on the free agent market, and you know, I don't know what my record is going to be this first season. I'm going to try to make the playoffs, but you know, if I don't, that's all right. As long as we can prevent a few certain people from trading up to the number 1 pick every year, we should be I should be all right. So value those draft picks.
And we're in one of the only 2 3-man leagues or 3-man divisions, right?
Yeah. We've got so myself as the Jaguars, TJ as the Colts, and Adam as the Texans. So the poor Titans, they're going to have a rough go in the next 4 years or however long this franchise
goes. Have a rough go.
No, we don't have Rich again. We had him, now we lost him.
Brian had to talk. Messed up the mojo.
He was there, right?
Yeah. What do you got, Rich? You there? No, now he can't hear us.
Rich, just write it on the whiteboard and we'll read it out for you.
Just type it.
Take photographs of
Any luck?
There you are.
Any luck?
Yeah.
All right, man. I hate this. So yeah, we purposely put Brian and TJ in the same division so they can continue their rivalry.
No,
we
also purposely put us, not we. This is all you.
We being me. That's right. That's exactly right. So, another thing that we try to do is to make sure that we have balance, right? You don't want 4 people in one division, then have another division with nobody in it. So we try to have 2 and occasionally 3 in every division. Ian Cummings, you are the Carolina Panthers. You were sort of assigned that team because there weren't a whole lot of NFC South squads, and then eventually there turns out there was. You're in a division with not only Donnie Moore, but who else is in your division?
I don't know, like David something. David.
Okay, David Wales, right? Yes.
I don't know. Where's he from? I don't know him.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show. He runs a gaming website. Stealthy Box is the name of it, actually. So
Okay.
that's how he's come to us. So what? I mean, you're not a Panthers fan, right?
No.
So what's your plan? What are you going to do with Carolina? Because they're kind of in a rebuilding mode themselves, I believe.
Yeah. Well, first I hired Mike Ditka, and that's
Nice.
what we need. That's really all you need to know, Rich, is that we've got Mike Ditka. Hurricane Ditka. Ditka versus the Hurricane. And so, yeah, it's tough. I wanted the Saints pretty bad because after playing with Eli, I was like, I got to have a good quarterback. And then, of course, Donnie gets the Saints. And Donnie's going to just beat the crap out of me. Donnie knows every money play. He knows all the players. He knows all the ratings. He knows everything. He's like this encyclopedia. It's impossible. So he's going to smoke me. So hopefully this guy, David, I can kind of push around. But
Well, Donnie did not do well
didn't.
in the league last year. He did not even make the playoffs.
He played his games?
He played his games, and he struggled. He definitely struggled. We were all very happily surprised, frankly.
He's like an off and again, each year on and off kind of deal.
But there were other EA people in the league who just coincidentally drafted every player who had a backstory in late rounds and stuff.
Yeah,
Donnie
they're in there in the
wasn't one of those.
database at work. Yeah, right.
Donnie wasn't one of those, but Dylan, who's the Seahawks this year, and he was the Chiefs last year, he was pointing it out to me. He's like, isn't it funny how those guys are drafting everyone who has a backstory, and I've never once been able to get a guy with a backstory?
Yeah, they obviously know. I mean, so I don't know. My plan with the Panthers is it's interesting because I've never been in a league that's lasted long. I mean, all the online franchises that we ever did maybe made it a year and a half, So for you guys to go 4, I'm looking forward to trying to make that through because last time I tried with you, we desynced in the first game, and I swore to never play again.
Right, and we're not going to allow that, by the way, this time. If a desync happens, you're not able to say, that's it, I'm out. You're in for at least 1 year. That is
all right,
the
well,
rule.
you keep me in that. So my plan was going to be, all right, well, I'm only playing for this year because that's probably as long as I'll make it. But if you're going to do 4 years, I might have to change a little strategy up. I guess my plan's obviously Cam, build around him, and he needs receivers badly. So trying to either build them up or make a trade, make a move, do something. But I don't know. It'll be all right. I'm not a huge fan of the Panthers. It's kind of a boring team for me, and we'll just kind of see what I can do with Newton.
Owen Good from Polygon is playing as a running back. He has created Perseus Oxendine, and I have a feeling there are going to be more than one pieces on Polygon on Sunday afternoons telling the tale of Mr. Oxendine.
The plight of Perseus, yeah.
I am
There's already a number of bounties on his head, by the way.
I am so interested to see his experience. The other thing
what happens if he gets hurt? That's a great question. Starting to interrupt. If he gets hurt, what happens?
I think it just stands for him, basically. Yeah.
He can't even play.
He's also probably not going to be the starter because we didn't turn instant starter on.
That's right.
It could get very interesting for him.
As in awful.
Yes.
Right.
But he's wearing no face mask, and that's the important thing in Owen's mind. So
that's all that matters. Throwback.
But I mean, it's so funny because we did a interview with Josh Lumen on Press Row a few weeks ago, a preview of Madden 15, and he said one of the things that he was most surprised about was that there were not more online CFMs where there were coaches and owners and players. He really thought that would be sort of the progression. And in fact, the overwhelming amount of information is that most people who do a CFM are all owners and coaches or all players, but not this mix and match. So it'll be very interesting to see his experience. I'm really excited about that. I am the Eagles again. The Eagles, I thought their team was pretty good until I started looking at the ratings tonight. I'm like, what happened to these guys? But I'm in the same division as Garnett Lee and his Dallas Cowboys, so we're going to be battling a couple times a year. That'll be interesting. The best players in the league last year were Gus Ramsey, who at one point won two. Well, he won the last 2 Super Bowls. We actually played 5 years, and he won.
And which team was he, Rich?
He was the Colts.
Thinking, buddy. I'm always thinking.
He won the last 2 Super Bowls. Kat Bailey won the first and the third Super Bowl, I believe, and she was the Minnesota Vikings. She is back with her Vikings. Gus is back. He is the Broncos. That is his team. So that's a problem right then and there. That
it's not a problem, Rich. Manning will retire on him after 1 year, and then he's screwed after that.
Maybe after the preseason's over, Manning might just retire.
If you were coaching them, TJ, is that what would happen?
He'd come into preseason and be like, "I'm out of here. We're good."
Frank Gore retires after the draft before the preseason. You never.
No, Justin Smith pulled that on me.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So I had no defensive line. It was great.
Oh, yeah. So
drafted for defensive line was like a 32 overall.
Yeah.
In the first round.
You can't draft. Yeah.
And Brian Weedeye obviously won the other Super Bowl and is going to be the Jaguars. So I won the division. I won the NFC East every single year, and I never even made it to the NFC Championship until the last season when I beat Mike Phillips and his Bears. And Mike Phillips was another one of those juggernauts. I beat his Bears in the NFC title game, and then I got killed by Gus Ramsey in the Super Bowl. But I at least made one Super Bowl. Granted, there are only 5 people left in the league in year 5, but I still made it, and I beat Mike Phillips, so it counts for something. So I'm excited. I can't wait. We're going to have the regular season kickoff this Sunday. There's going to be a whole bunch of games being streamed. Go ahead, Brian.
Guess who plays in week 1?
You and me, right?
Yep.
So when are we going to play that game? Is that going to be Sunday night
after
the real NFL game of the week?
Is that one game of the week? Are we pushing forward on Sunday, or is that tomorrow?
Well, we're going to do 2 days. We're going to let everybody sign in, look at their team, sign their one free agent over the next couple of days. Then we're going to sim through the rest of the preseason to get to the regular season. We'll turn injuries back on, and then it's go time. So that'll either be no earlier than Saturday and no later than Sunday. So,
cool.
Yeah, the Jaguars and the Eagles play in week 1, and it looks like a Sunday night spectacular, right?
And we had a rivalry of our own. We met in the playoffs several times, multiple times, and we faced off in the regular season a couple times too, which is crazy because it was just because we both won the division,
right.
Or there was maybe 1 year where it was just randomly worked out that way. But it ended up that we played, I think, all 4 seasons in one way or another. So, and it's just funny. I looked at the schedule. I'm like, we're opening up against each other. It's awesome.
And I don't know what our record was.
Too.
Yeah. I don't know what our record was against each other, but I think it was 2-2 or 3-2
or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. So, all right. Final thoughts on this, Ian Cummings. What do you predict from your Carolina Panthers? What are you going to do this year? What's your record going to be, and how's it gonna work out for you year 1?
Oh man, Donnie. What's this guy, David? Is he good or no?
We don't know. We have no idea.
He's the Bucks. I'm gonna say 9-7.
Okay.
I'm gonna slip in. I'm gonna slip in the wild card. 9-7.
I like it. Brian Weedeye, how are your Jaguars gonna do?
I was thinking 9-7, 10-6. Gonna try to get a wild card. I suspect TJ wins the division, but
I like that idea.
We just I'm trying to raise his spirits a little bit so that I can crush him.
I'm about to develop a promising quarterback, so
because it did go first 4 won by TJ, all very close, like down to the wire games. Next 4 won by me.
In your belief, it was close games, huh?
It was like final drive situations. Either you'd score or I wouldn't score, or whatever it would be. And then the last 4 I won, and then we played a game when Rich was over at my house, and I crushed you. But that was with the Seahawks, so I don't know what I'm going to be able to do with the Jags. I don't think I was cheating, but it was. It's going to be interesting because I don't really know. I'm either going to get a really good draft pick or I'm going to sneak into the playoffs somehow. And that's kind of exciting for me, though. Instead of being expected to win every game because of the team I have, I can go out there and make TJ feel awful by beating him with the Jaguars. That's really the goal here.
So TJ, how are you going to do? How are your Colts going to fare this year in year 1 of the Press Row Podcast Madden NFL 15 League?
Well, let's see. They've gone 11-5 in real life the last 2 years, so let's make that what we're shooting for. I just want to win a playoff game. I don't really care what happens in the regular season. I just want to win a playoff game for the first time ever. And Andrew Luck, MVP.
Wow. Okay.
Shots fired.
Shorts
that would
flared.
be impressive though, because the only people who won MVP in our league was I think running backs, right?
That's right. Because
because
too many
they
interceptions.
jacked up
So.
stats.
yeah.
I don't throw picks.
So my Eagles last year won the division 5 years in a row, and again, only once actually managed to make it to the NFC title game and won Super Bowl. There's a big difference between 10 and 12 people and 20 people. There's a lot of good players in the league. Cat Bailey is a good player. Mike Phillips is a good player. Craig Kuyava is a good player. There's some wild cards in the league, people that we haven't played with, but we have talked to for a long time. I think Gus Ramsey is a really good player. So, I'm predicting the Eagles go 10-6 and win the division as the number 4 seed. I just think that with Nick Foles and LaShawn McCoy, and the a nice receiving tandem of Macklin and Cooper and a couple of good tight ends, I think I'll be able to move the ball enough. But I really honestly have absolutely no idea. Like, I have zero feel for how the Eagles are going to do. I'm just really excited and I can't wait. And again, the fact that we can stream all these games and we can have all the interaction and so many people that are not in the league are excited to watch the game just has me really pumped. So I can't wait. Thank goodness that Madden has this online franchise that they do make available, and obviously every mode has technical problems, every game has technical problems, but for the most part our experience has been positive. Certainly it was with Madden 25 online CFM on the next-gen consoles, so fingers crossed that we have the same overall positive experience. So all right, final prediction, TJ Lyman, who wins the first-year Super Bowl?
I'm going to give it to Gus Ramsey.
Brian Weedite?
CPU.
That'd be great.
I have no idea. I think that'd be hilarious, though. Yeah.
No, that's the whole point of the prediction. We know you have no idea, so give us a name. Who's going to win it?
Okay.
It's going to be a person.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the whole lineup again.
I hope it's the Cardinals.
Well, I'm predicting.
Well, look, let's say Gus Ramsey with the Broncos, because look, if he doesn't, then he's screwed. So he has to win it this first year.
All right, Ian, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, it sure sounds like Gus has got all the cards, the deck stacked in his favor. So, how about the CPU Lions? That would be a good upset.
I am picking Cat Bailey's Vikings. I think she's coming in and is ready to reclaim the Super Bowl that she feels should still be hers. So that's my prediction. Well, all right, gentlemen, this was a lot of fun. Thank you, Ian Cummings, very much for coming on. We appreciate it. As always, whenever you're on, it's a lot of fun. The game is NFL Showdown. It is available now for free on your mobile device, iOS and Android. Check it out. I have downloaded it. I'm going to check it out. So, Ian, thank you for coming, and good luck with the game.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's always fun. I love coming on.
And Brian Weedite, thank you, sir. As always, a pleasure.
I'm here every time we do it, so.
Well, it's on your channel.
Yeah.
That's true. So, TJ Lyman, thank you, sir. As always, a pleasure.
Rich, thank you very much for having me, and I really appreciate it.
So, for Brian and TJ and Ian, I'm Rich Grisham. Thank you, as always, for watching and for listening. Don't forget to go download the latest Press Row podcast interview with Rob Jones from NBA 2K15. I think you'll be pretty interested to hear what he has to say. Thanks, as always, and we'll see you again really soon.